ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name, Race Car Mark. That's my actual name. First name Race Car, last name Mark. Okay. And in today's video, we are going to be going over everything that you should bring / look at / do when going to buy a automobile. That, my friends, is long-term for car. Okay, get it right. Everything to look for, everything to bring, etc., when buying when going to look for a car. Obviously, this video is mainly for my younger audience, as the older gentlemen have most likely already went and looked at cars before, and so they already know what to bring. They've already been like, dang, I forgot to bring that, or dang, I forgot to bring this, and they've learned from their mistakes. So this is obviously for the younger people. So with that being said, if you are an older gentleman and I missed something in this video, or you think something that I listed is not important to actually bring, please leave a comment down below for the young folks. Let's create an amazing little car community here, folks, okay? The car community is negative as hell online. Let's make it positive. Let's help each other out. Older guys that know what they're talking about, tell the younger kids who are curious and need to learn these things, alrighty? Alright. Without further ado, before we get into it, I wanted to mention real quick, I see the comments. I know you guys want to see a video of me teaching you guys how to drive manual. That will be coming soon. And I also saw the comment of the guy that keeps saying he wants to see wagons under $10,000. That video is also coming soon. But without further ado, let's go right into the video. First up is the actual stuff that you actually need to bring. In my opinion, you only really need to bring like 4 things. First up is obviously the cash. Duh. Second up is an OBD scanner. Obviously, if you're paying with check, that's a different story. Don't bring cash, bring a check. But yeah, bring the cash. But yeah, second is an OBD scanner. They plug in. You know what I'm talking about? They go right down there, right down near your feetsies there, and they plug in and they read all the codes. If the car has any hidden codes, they'll show up. You can't just like swipe the engine codes and then they go away completely. No. You swipe them, you drive them a little bit, you scan it again, and they should come back. So pretty much always bring an OBD scanner. Next up is a flashlight. Duh. Especially if it's dark out, but even if it's not dark out, bring a damn flashlight. If you're looking underneath the car, which you should be, you're gonna want a flashlight. Also looking at the motor, bring a flashlight. Obviously, most people's phones have a flashlight on them nowadays, and that works perfectly fine. But if you don't, bring a damn flashlight. And the final thing to bring is some sort of license plate in case you end up buying the car, or some form of getting it home. Whether that be a trailer and you got a friend or something, or you yourself have a truck with a trailer on it, or whatever it may be, that's obviously fine. Or if you're planning on driving it home, bring a license plate. I'm not condoning committing crimes here. As a matter of fact, don't bring a license plate. That's very bad. Don't do it. It's a very bad thing to do, to drive a car with a fake plate on it. Don't do it. But if you need to get it home, I have heard stories of other people doing that before. I'm not saying you should. But this guy right here, this guy in the Chevy Equinox, he's my friend. He does it all the time. Okay? Does it all the time. Anyways, next up is the things to check when the car is parked, when the car is at a standstill. First up is obviously all the fluids. I just wrote down oil, brake fluid, power steering fluid, transmission fluid. There's little reservoirs up in the engine bay. Just look at every single goddamn reservoir you see in there. Pardon my French, but yeah, look at them all. I have a mosquito on my leg and it's driving me nuts. Look at all the reservoirs. Are they nice and topped off? Are the colors correct? Just take a quick little gander over there at it, all right? Next up is the tires. Do they have decent tread on them? Is wire showing? If wire is showing, obviously you're going to need new tires. On top of that, look at the car's tires themselves. If you see like some wear and tear on the front left tire, and then you see not any wear and tear on the front right tire, well, that could be one of 2 things. It could either be he bought a new tire for the right side and put it on, and for some reason did not put one on the left side, which by the way is just stupid. I don't understand that. I know that guy, but yeah, it's not a smart idea. Or it has an alignment issue, and so it's wearing out one of the old tires when it shouldn't be. Next thing to check is idling RPMs. Turn the gosh darn thing on and let it idle. Obviously, when you first start a car, it's going to idle pretty high, but over time, shouldn't take too long at all. It'll drop down to around, it all depends on the car obviously, but 750 to 1,500 RPMs idle range is okay. 1,500 is honestly even a little bit too high. Honestly, it's 1,250 I would say is like the highest. Even that is honestly a little bit sketchy. But 750, 1,000 RPMs, if it drops down to that and idles at that, that's fine. If it goes below that, it might have an issue. If it's above that, it probably has an issue. Just let it idle, okay? And also, if you swarmed the car before you got there, then it should be idling where it's ready to idle. So don't be too nervous if like you start the car up and it immediately idles at 750. If you started it before, that's why it already warmed itself up, so its idle temps are okay. Next thing is how long. Oh, I already kind of went over that, but yeah, how long it takes to warm up. If the car takes 10 minutes to warm up, and like drop down to like around the right idling temps, then that might be an issue. That's a long time. But if it takes like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that's fine. It's no big deal. Next thing is the windows. It's not a big thing, but if your windows don't work, it's gonna be a nightmare, especially if the car doesn't have AC. I've never really had AC in any of my cars. This car technically does, but it's about as useful as like hiring some old lady to sit in my passenger seat and just go on my neck every now and then. It really doesn't work that well, so I've never really had AC, so it doesn't really affect me too much. But this car's driver's side window, this one right here, it doesn't work, so it's a little annoying. If you don't have any windows and you have no AC and you live in a hot area, that's not just annoying, but it might be too much, honestly. It might be too unbearable if both windows don't work if you have a coupe, or if all four windows don't work if you have a sedan or hatchback, wagons, SUV, whatever it may be. But yeah, just check them. It's obviously not the biggest deal, but it could also be a good sign to check the wiring, because if the windows don't work, well, they obviously, if they're power windows at least, they obviously might have a wiring issue there, so maybe that's something to think about too. Next up is obviously the heat and the AC. Again, another thing where it's like it doesn't really matter too much, man. I've had cars that didn't have heat. I've had cars that don't have AC. Like I just said, pretty much all my cars haven't had AC, and so it's not the end of the world. But if it's got something that's going to affect you, and if it doesn't have it, you can always try and negotiate with the guy if it doesn't have heat or if it doesn't have AC. You can be like, well, it doesn't have heat, so I know you're trying to sell it for $10,000, but will you take $1,000 and a pat on the back? And he might just say yes. Who knows? I mean, it's kind of a low ball, but not even that bad. I mean, $9,000 off the asking price. Come on, 90% off. That's just a Black Friday deal. Go on Black Friday, you'll be all right. Next up is the radio and power seats. I put these together because, again, they're pretty much the same thing. If the power seats don't work, or if the radio doesn't work, again, it's something that doesn't really matter too much. You can work around it. It's not the biggest deal, but again, it could lead to another wiring issue. Always just check these little electronics, especially in older. I know most of the people on my channel enjoy older cars, 90s cars, 2000s cars. They like cars like that because we're smart and we have what's called big old brains. That's B-O-B, big old brains. But yeah, we like the classic cars, and unfortunately, the 90s and 2000s cars are notorious for just having doo-doo water. Electronics? Wiring is the word I was looking for there. Next up, the thing to check while the car's parked is the bumper alignment, or honestly just any alignment on any of like the body panels. Those fenders, bumper, hood, trunk, rear bumper, doors, side skirts. Check all the the gaps between those things, right? The fender gap to the hood, the bumper gap to the hood, the trunk gap to the rear bumper gap to the quarter panel. Check all those little gaps. Do they match up on each side? And then also, if you can, check the bolts. You can check fender bolts really easily, and same with bumper bolts. Check the bolts. Are those bolts the same bolts all the way around? Do they look like they belong on that car? If they're brand new bolts on a 2001 car, chances are he replaced those bolts. Why? Was the car in an accident? If it has, obviously if it has aftermarket parts on it, an aftermarket hood, aftermarket bumper, whatever, then that's the reason why. But you just want to check those things. It's very hard for people to get things lined up perfectly, and most of the time people aren't going to do it anyways. So check those. It should be a clear indicator on whether or not somebody replaced a bumper or fender or whatever it may be, and you can ask him, well, why is this like that? And if it's like that, then the reasoning why is because it was most likely in an accident. Most likely. Again, obviously, maybe people have changed parts out for some other reason. Maybe they had paint fade on a bumper, and they found a junkyard bumper with the same color that worked perfectly, and so they just bought that. Maybe that's the reason why. But overall, I would just be careful if you see something like that. There's a good chance there might be an accident, which kind of leads me into my next one. Check the frame. Most cars nowadays are obviously unibodies. In the front of the car and in the back of the car, it's very easy to see the frame. Does it look crunched at all? If it does, it's been in an accident. If it doesn't, you're fine. That one's pretty simple, but yeah, check it. Next up is make sure there's no cracks in the dash and the headliner is okay. Again, it's another thing that doesn't really matter too much. If it doesn't bother you, then that's fine. Good for you. But I know cars like the S13, if they have a cracked dash, they lose value like crazy. And so things like that do matter to people, and so you can definitely use that as ways to negotiate the price. If the headliner is droopy and saggy, you can use it to negotiate. If the dashboard is cracked, you can use it to negotiate. So just always check those things. Now we're going to lead into the whole things to check underneath the car. And first up is obviously rust. If you live in a northern area, obviously you should check this even if you do live in a southern area, but chances are it won't be too bad for you. Up here in New England though, every car is just a pile of rust. It might as well just be the rust monster, because they're rusty. So check underneath them. Just make sure that they don't have rust. Especially if you're going to look at a truck. Trucks rust so fast, dude. I don't understand how it's even possible. Those things gobble up salt. They're like nom 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 nom. Salt, man. I'm hungry. What's that? French fries? Put some extra salt on them because I'm a pickup truck and I want to rust. It's ridiculous. So check, obviously, for rust on the car. Rust is car cancer. Can you reverse it? Yeah, but it's a massive pain. Look at that. That thing's freaking sick. That thing's sick. There's an E36 and a Porsche Cayman, I think that was lifted, and a TT. What's going on? What is happening? That was awesome. Anyways, yeah, just check for rust, man. Next thing to check underneath the car is the leaks. Check the back of the engine, check the oil pan on the engine, check the transmission, check where things could leak. If it's moist underneath the car, run your finger along it. If some nasty gook comes out, what is that gook? Is it oil? Is it tranny fluid? Is it power steering fluid? What is it? Check obviously near your not your shift boots, the boots, the axle boots. Check the axle boots. Are they leaking? Just check everything. Check everything that can leak, and if it is leaking, that's a problem. It can be a major problem depending on how bad the leak is, so run away from the car if it's bad enough. If it's not, oh, I hate that bump. It always bangs off the ground. It actually didn't bang off the ground that time. Very impressed. Good job, Acura. But normally it does. Oh, Lanta. Yeah, we're going through no man's land right now, partner. There we go. And I'm going to need to lift the Integra. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it was coming. I just knew it. Oh, yeah. Next thing is the pinch welds. Are the pinch welds worn? If they are, don't buy the car, honestly. I don't know what else to tell you. You can't replace pinch welds, so it's a bad problem. In case you don't know where pinch welds are, it's where you jack up the car. It's mounting points underneath the car, jacking points, whatever you want to call them, underneath the car. Check those. Are they all crusty and rusty and worn out? Oh, that's a problem. That's an issue. And then the final thing to check while you're underneath the car is the rear end. I kind of already mentioned this, but yeah, the frame in the rear, is it bad? If it's bad, it's bad. That's a problem. It's been an accident, probably. I'm getting eerily close to where I'm getting breakfast today, so I'm trying to, well, I can make this. Yeah, buddy. There's a C6 Corvette there and another E46 that time. What is happening? Am I missing something? It's gonna drive me nuts, man. It's gonna drive me freaking nuts if they're going to like a car meet and I'm not invited. Why was I not invited? I feel robbed. Anyways, yeah, next thing that we're gonna bring up is things to check when driving the car. This is the final step. You looked at everything while it was parked, you turned it on, checked everything is all good, so you're taking it on test drive. This is what matters. This is the cherry on the PP tip, okay? This is all the marbles right now. There's why I'm getting breakfast. That's right, good old McDonald's. God bless America. But first thing to check while you're driving the car is how does the transmission shift? First of all, if it's a manual, obviously you want to make sure there's no grinding. It goes into gear smooth like this. Watch, ready? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Perfectly fine, no problems whatsoever. My tranny is great, but you want to check yours. Manuals are really easy to check, to be honest, because you can shift the gears yourself. Autos are a little bit harder because you have to kind of force the car to shift gears when it wants to, and so that's always a little bit annoying. But yeah, just check the transmission, man. Does it feel weird when you're driving it? Does it feel weird when you're trying to reverse? Does it feel weird going into park? All these little things. Just trust your gut, okay? I can't really explain how to do this. I'm gonna have to park because I'm not ready to order because I gotta finish this video. So I can't really explain how to do this without being in person with you to like explain it. And so it's kind of hard, but just trust your gut, man. You've been in cars before. Does it feel weird? Does it feel like it's shifting poorly? If it does, then it probably is, okay? And that's obviously a major issue. A lot of cars have poor transmission, especially if you're going to look at it like a Nissan with a CVT. Don't even look at it, okay? Next up is to get the car to 60 miles per hour if you can. Obviously, if you're in like a freaking guy's neighborhood and the speed limit is 25, don't go street racing. It's not Fast and Furious. But if you can, get it up to 60 miles per hour and let go of the wheel. Does the wheel shake? Usually things start to shake around 50 to 60 miles an hour. Does it shake? If it does, you got an alignment issue, you got something wrong with your suspension. And then on top of that, does it pull to the left or does it pull to the right? Another alignment issue there. Again, it could just be literally that it's an alignment issue and all you have to do is get an alignment and that's no big deal whatsoever. Or it could be another issue that's gonna obviously cost you a little bit of money. It's not fun. Next thing is obviously checking the brakes. Do they squeal? Do they rub? If they rub, well, maybe you do want to buy that car then, because that's a free rub and tug I'm gonna go talk about. Look at that WRX. I like that. Nice WRX. But yeah, no, do they squeal? Do they rub? Do they do the jiggy? Do they, or not the jiggy, what do the kids call it? The gritty. Do they do the gritty? If they do, don't buy the car. No, I'm just kidding. Its brakes aren't that big of a deal, but if it's brake lines, that's a whole nother issue. Brake lines are not fun. If it's just rotors and pads, you just need some rotors and pads. That's not enough to walk away from a car, in my opinion. I mean, that's a freaking $200 job and you're done if you do it yourself, and it's no big deal. So, but obviously something to keep in mind. And then finally, oh no, we got two more things. Check the lights. This is easy. Turn on the headlights. Do they work? Turn on the high beams. Do they work? Turn on the left signal. Does it work? Turn on the right signal. Does it work? Go to the back. Press the brakes. Does it work? Turn on the lights. Do the running lights in the back of the brakes work? Do the hazards work in the back? Just check all those things. You should be good. And then finally, the last thing, I really am trying to hurry up now because we are on, oh, hold on now. Hold on. We are on what looks like 16 minutes, and I'm really hungry, so I want to get my freaking McDonald's. Stop bothering me, guys. But yeah, next thing is to run over bumps on purpose. I know you might be like, why? And I know the owner of the vehicle is going to be like, what are you doing? Do it. If you're about to spend, listen, cars are not cheap. Like the cheapest, this is the cheapest car I've ever owned, and it's been $3,000. $3,000 is a lot of freaking money, man. I don't give a tiny rat's left butt cheek if this guy doesn't want me running over bumps. I'm running over bumps because if I feel something weird when I'm running over these freaking bumps and it makes me want to walk away from the car, I'll take somebody yelling at me over saving $3,000 any day of the week, man. Because I'm not buying it just because this dingleberry who doesn't want me driving his car over bumps. Do it, okay? Do it and check the car. Does it feel weird? Does it react weird? A lot of cars, the suspension is shot and destroyed, but you can't really tell unless you start running over bumps. And then it starts feeling like you're on a trampoline, and you're like, okay, yeah, this car needs new shocks. It's just not obviously worth it. But anyway, guys, that's the end of today's video. I am so hungry, and that is freaking teasing me. Look at that McDonald's right there. They're like, come on, Mark. You know you want to, Mark. Come on, man. You haven't had McDonald's breakfast in so long. Come on. And so I'm going to go get that. Oh, little bird. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Like I said earlier, I see the comments, man. The videos are coming. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidanya. And have a nice night. Well, day.